Okay, so welcome back. So now we're going to talk about coefficients, and we're going to talk about terms more. And so the different types of terms. So a term, again, are the ones that are separated by the pluses and the minuses that are not grouped. So this is a term. This is what we call a variable term. A variable term is any product, any expression that is a product of variables or just variables. It could be one variable, or it could be multiple variables, or it could be a mixture of variables and constants. So this is a variable term, this is a variable term, but this term is what we call a constant term because it only represents by a number. Okay, so again, that's the difference between a term, a constant term, and a variable term. Now, in a variable term, we have factors, right? So if it's made up of factors, each factor we call a coefficient, okay? The number part is what we call the numerical coefficient. Now, in general, whenever we use the word coefficient, we always typically mean the numerical coefficient. So we usually don't refer to the y or the x and the y as coefficients. When we use the word coefficient, we always it's taken to mean that we're referring to the numerical coefficient. So that's the way I'm going to use it from now on. So when I mention coefficient, or what's the coefficient of the term, I'm meaning the numerical part, okay? So in this case, I would say the coefficient of this term is 3, the coefficient of this term is 4, and of course this is a constant term, okay? So you could technically say that that's a coefficient 2, but typically we're talking about the 4 or the 3. The 4 and the 3 in this case. Okay, now, how do you identify the coefficient? Well, if it's something that's just a product, right, then it's easy. Well, I should say pretty straightforward. One says since a term only contains factors, right? So a product, then the numerical factor, or the product of the numerical factors, is going to be your numerical coefficient. Okay? So again, it's just the numerical part, the numerical factor, or the product of all of the numerical factors together that gives you the numerical coefficient. Now, if the term is a fraction, meaning more of a division, right? So the fractional bar represents an indicated division. Then what you're going to do is you're going to write that fraction as a product. So basically you're going to rewrite it from a division problem or a division expression to a multiplication expression. And then what you're going to do is you're going to then write the product of all the numerical parts together. You're going to basically take the product of all the numerical factors. And then, of course, that result in part 2b is going to be the numerical coefficient. Okay, so that's it. So let's look at some examples and go from there.